You've probably been lied to every morning of your life, and the strangest part is how normal it sounds. Wake up, eat immediately, never skip breakfast, or your body will somehow panic, your brain will fail, and your health will collapse before lunch. That story has been repeated so often that most people never stop to ask a very simple question. If breakfast is so sacred, why do so many people feel tired, bloated, hungry again in 2 hours, and dependent on snacks all day long? I'm 108, and I've lived long enough to watch bad advice become tradition, and tradition becomes something people defend like religion. I've seen doctors change their minds, food companies change their slogans, and ordinary people spend decades doing what they were told was healthy while quietly feeling worse. And one of the biggest tricks of all was convincing people that the moment they open their eyes, they must begin eating. Now listen carefully. I'm not saying everyone should fear breakfast. I'm saying most people were never taught to understand hunger, energy, or digestion in the first place. They were taught a routine. There's a difference. A routine can be sold. Understanding cannot. When I was younger, people didn't obsess over eating every few hours. They worked, they moved, they waited, they paid attention to appetite. Food had a place, but it didn't run the day. Somewhere along the line, people began waking up and eating not because they were hungry, but because a clock told them to, a commercial told them to, or a fitness article scared them into it. That's when things got backwards. The biggest misunderstanding is this: morning hunger and morning habit are not the same thing. A lot of people think they are starving when really they are just trained. Their body expects the usual hit of toast, cereal, sugar, tea, coffee with cream, something quick, something comforting, and when that doesn't arrive, they call it a crisis. But if you sit with that feeling for a little while, something surprising often happens. It passes, not forever, but enough to show you that what felt urgent wasn't always true hunger. Sometimes it was just a pattern knocking at the door. People get uncomfortable hearing that because habits feel personal. The minute you question breakfast, they hear you questioning their childhood, their culture, their mother, their whole idea of a healthy life. But I'm not attacking comfort. I'm attacking autopilot. For years, I noticed something odd. On mornings when I ate early just because I was supposed to, especially if the meal was heavy or sweet, I didn't feel stronger. I felt dull. My mind got foggy. My stomach got busy. My energy rose fast and then slipped away like water through fingers. By late morning, I was thinking about food again. Then came something sugary or starchy to lift me back up. Then the same crash in the afternoon. It was a life built around managing dips. That's what many people call normal. It is not normal. It is common. There's a difference there too. What I do instead is embarrassingly simple, which is probably why it doesn't get marketed very well. I do not rush to eat. I wake up slowly. I drink water. I give my body time to become fully awake before I ask my digestion to go to work. Some mornings I have plain water first, some mornings warm water. I sit, I move a little, I let the system come online. If I feel like tea or coffee, I keep it modest and not loaded with sugar. Then I pay attention to one question, and I mean really pay attention. Am I truly hungry, or am I just following a script? Most people have never asked that honestly. True hunger is calm. It builds. It doesn't scream like panic. Habit hunger is dramatic. It arrives on schedule, complains loudly, and often disappears when you get busy or drink water or step outside. That one insight changed more for me than any nutrition slogan ever did. So, no, I don't worship breakfast. I delay my first meal until my body seems ready for it. For me, that often means later in the morning, sometimes closer to midday, depending on the day, the weather, my activity, and how I actually feel. not what a chart says, not what a cereal box says, what I feel. And when I do eat, I don't break that quiet with nonsense. I do not start the day with a dessert pretending to be breakfast. That's another scam hidden in plain sight. People eat bowls of sugar, call it energy, and then wonder why they are exhausted. Bright boxes, health claims, grains shaped like innocence, yogurt with more sweetness than self-control, pastries passed off as morning fuel. Then they blame aging, stress, or lack of motivation when really their blood sugar has been thrown onto a roller coaster before the day has even begun. What I choose instead is food that behaves itself, something with protein, something that keeps me steady. Eggs are fine for many people. Plain yogurt can work for some. Nuts in sensible amounts. Beans, if that suits the person. Leftovers from a real meal are often better than a fake breakfast meal. That surprises people, but why should lunch food be too serious for the morning while sugary flakes floating in milk are somehow wise? That idea never made sense to me. A small, solid meal later in the morning has served me better than a rushed feast at sunrise. It helps me feel clear instead of stuffed, stable instead of sleepy, and perhaps most important, it teaches discipline without punishment. That matters because people often swing between extremes. Either they eat constantly or they turn every food choice into a battle. I've never believed in drama around food. Your body is not improved by panic. Now, I need to say something sensible because too many people turn a simple idea into a dangerous challenge. Delaying breakfast is not a contest. It does not mean ignoring genuine hunger, and it certainly does not mean everybody should force themselves to fast for long periods. Some people do better with an early meal. Some people have medical conditions, take medicines, have blood sugar issues, are underweight, pregnant, recovering from illness, or simply function better eating earlier. Fine. The truth is not that breakfast is evil. The truth is that compulsory breakfast for everyone is foolish. That's the part people don't like because it removes the comfort of one-size-fits-all rules. But life is full of individual signs if you are willing to read them. Look at your mornings honestly. Do you wake up refreshed, eat breakfast, and then stay energized and focused for hours? Or do you eat because you think you should, then feel heavy, sleepy, irritable, or hungry again far too soon? Do you need constant snacks? Do you crash at 11? Do you get shaky if you miss your routine because your body is used to a cycle of quick rise and quick fall? Those clues matter. They tell you more than slogans ever will. One of the smartest things a person can do is stop treating every internal signal as an emergency. A little emptiness is not always danger. A quiet stomach is not neglect. The body has rhythms, and modern life has taught people to interrupt them constantly. Eat here, snack there, reward yourself now. Don't let yourself get hungry. Always carry something. Never trust an empty feeling. But that empty feeling in the right context can teach you a lot. It can teach you patience. It can teach you the difference between need and impulse. It can show you whether your energy is coming from real nourishment or from constant stimulation. I've watched people become terrified of skipping one meal while casually eating foods every day that leave them inflamed, restless, overweight, and exhausted. That contradiction says everything. They fear the absence of food more than the quality of it. And there is another side to this that people rarely admit. Eating early often becomes emotional management. People say they're hungry, but what they really mean is they want comfort before facing the day. They want reward before effort. They want something pleasant before stress begins. I understand that completely. Life is hard. But food is a poor therapist when used that way every morning. If the first thing you teach your mind each day is that discomfort must be silenced immediately, that lesson spreads into the rest of life. So what do I do instead? I make the morning prove itself first. I wake up, I hydrate, I open a window if I can, I stretch or walk a little, even slowly, I let light hit my eyes, I breathe, I begin the day before I begin eating. That alone changes the feeling of the morning. You stop feeling like a machine being loaded with fuel and start feeling like a living creature waking into its own rhythm. Then when real hunger arrives, I answer it with respect, not entertainment. That is an important distinction. Most people eat for amusement and call it nutrition. Crunch, sweetness, variety, speed, nostalgia, all engineered to make them keep going. Real food doesn't need to perform like a circus. It just needs to nourish and let you get on with your life. I also keep portions sensible. Another hidden problem with breakfast culture is that people think a giant early meal is somehow virtuous. Then they spend the next few hours trying to recover from it. A meal should help you live, not pin you to the chair. Especially as you get older, digestion is something to respect. Heavy mornings can steal half a day. A modest meal, eaten when you're actually ready, can feel like freedom. People ask me, don't you get weak? Don't you lose concentration? Don't you need breakfast for your brain? I smile because I've heard these questions for decades. What ruins concentration for many people is not the lack of immediate food. It's poor sleep, too much sugar, dehydration, stress, and a body trapped in a cycle of constant peaks and crashes. There is a difference between nourishing the brain and entertaining the mouth. I'm not pretending discipline is easy. The first days of changing a long habit can feel strange. Your body may protest because it expects the old pattern. You may think about food simply because the old hour has arrived. That does not always mean something is wrong. It may just mean a routine is dissolving. But this is why I tell people not to be dramatic. Don't leap from one extreme into another. Start by delaying breakfast a little, not forever. Notice how you feel. Drink water. Choose a better first meal. Reduce the sugar. Increase the protein and fiber. Let the body teach you, instead of forcing it to obey a rule from either side. And please, stop believing that every older person who lived long did so because of one magical food. I've seen that fantasy too. Olive oil did it, no wait. Oatmeal did it, no wait. Fermented milk did it, no wait. Some berry from a mountain did it. Nonsense. Long life is rarely one miracle. It is usually a pile of small, boring wisdom repeated over time. Don't overeat. Move every day. Sleep enough. Stay useful. Keep your mind from rotting in resentment. Eat simply. And yes, question food habits that everybody follows without thinking. That last one matters more than people realize. Because breakfast is not just a meal. It is a symbol of how easily people accept rules when they are repeated with confidence. They stop asking who benefits. They stop asking whether the rule matches their own experience. They feel guilty for experimenting with their own lives. That is the real scam, not the existence of breakfast, but the idea that you are irresponsible if you don't obey it exactly as instructed. By the time you reach my age, you become very suspicious of anything that claims to save everyone in the same way. I've known farmers who ate early and lived well. I've known others who barely touched food until later and lived well too. I've known city people who ruined themselves with constant snacking and country people who did the same. Human beings love to turn personal patterns into universal commandments. But the body is more honest than ideology. It tells the truth if you listen long enough. So here is the practical part, because philosophy alone won't help you tomorrow morning. When you wake up, don't race to the kitchen. Sit up, drink water. Give yourself 10 or 20 minutes without food. then maybe 30, then longer on another day if it feels fine. Notice your energy, your mood, your focus. If you are truly hungry, eat, but make that meal serious, not sugary. Think protein, fiber, something satisfying and simple. Eggs with something fresh. Plain yogurt with nuts if that suits you. Beans, leftovers, a modest plate that doesn't send you into a crash. And then stop. Let the meal do its work. Don't keep chasing taste. If you try this and feel awful, weak, dizzy, or unwell, then that is information too. Pay attention, adjust. The goal is not to imitate me. The goal is to stop living on inherited autopilot. Your body is not mine. Your age is not mine. Your health may not be mine. Wisdom is not copying. Wisdom is observing. That's the funny thing people miss when they hear a person my age talk. They expect a secret, a rare herb, a forbidden trick, some ancient method hidden from the masses. What they get instead is usually disappointing because it sounds too ordinary. I stopped doing foolish things just because everybody else did them. That includes breakfast. Not because food is bad, not because hunger is holy, not because skipping a meal makes a person superior, but because I learned that starting the day with noise, sugar, urgency, and obedience did not make me healthier. It made me dependent. What helped me was calm, patience, hydration, movement, and eating when I was genuinely ready, not when the world told me I should be. And once you understand that, something shifts. Morning stops feeling like a feeding schedule and starts feeling like a chance to listen to your stomach, yes, but also to your mind, your habits, your fears, and your honesty. You begin to notice how much of your life is built on things you never chose consciously. That can be unsettling, but it can also be liberating. At 108, I don't need food to comfort a lie. I need food to support a life. That difference may sound small, but it changes everything. And maybe that is the real reason the breakfast myth survives so easily. People are not just protecting a meal. They are protecting a routine that keeps them from questioning the rest. But once you do question it, once you step back and notice how your body really responds, it becomes very hard to unsee. You realize that health is often less about adding more and more rules and more about removing the ones that never made sense in the first place. That is what I do instead. I wake up, I wait, I drink water, I move a little, I let hunger tell the truth. And when I eat like a person who intends to live, not like someone obeying an advertisement.